Hey Frank, great job, man. So the first exercise is going to be you play the whole, count off the tune at tempo. You do the intro, and then you come into the play the whole tune at tempo. And when you get to the end, turnaround will be a measure of C followed by a measure of that G sus chord. And then we're going to go into the soloing part. So I want that to be the same every time. Intro. And so on from there. When you get to the end of the chord melody at tempo, and at the end of that, I want to do a few variations. The first variation, you'll get to the end and you'll play a measure of C major lines followed by a measure of C minor lines. So I'm going to take it from this last part of the melody, so I don't have to play the whole thing every time. But I want you to play it every time so that you can be, because in order to, endurance and the ability to actually play very easily through the tune, although it'll seem like it's a pain in the ass having to do it every time, it's actually extremely beneficial. One big change that happened in my own playing was, I remember many years ago reading a story, I think it was about Thelonious Monk, about how he would just sit around and play the same tune over and over again. And I was like, well, I had never really done that. I would always kind of just try one thing for a few minutes and move on. I started doing that, just really playing it over and over, and it made a huge impact. My ability to do what we're talking about, play solo gigs and just play endlessly, and suddenly it just started happening for me. So I want to really encourage that in these exercises. So as you get to the end, it'll be like this. Exercise 1, you play the intro chord melody, and here's the end of the chord melody. So I played a measure of C, followed by a measure of C minor. Same thing, second exercise, number 2, same deal, except play a measure of C major chords followed by a measure of C minor chords. So it'll be like this. So just like that. Another reason to do the whole set chord melody all the way through is that way when you finally get to the solo section, you've been thinking about something else, and now you have to pull what you've been practicing out and be able to execute it at tempo without flubbing anything. And it shows you a little better where you're at with that sort of stuff. The third exercise would be the same deal again, except this time we're going to do a measure of C major chords followed by C minor. So it'll be a measure of C major chords. Let's do a measure of C major lines followed by a measure of C minor chords. So we're going to start C major lines, then C minor chords. Be like this. That's the idea. And now we'll reverse it. We'll do C major chords followed by C minor lines. You got the idea there, right? And now the next one is, instead of the break, where we do this let's put a 2 measure C major line in right there. So I'll show you what I mean. like that. And I did hit the downbeat of the C chord just one time, just so I could have something, which is a good idea. So I'll do it again. Exactly like that. And if you want, you can do that, and then continue on with maybe one of the examples, like. But you get the idea. The next thing I want you to do is send me some examples of what you might play over the next set of chord changes, both not in the melody part, but in the soloing. Like the next, a lot of people play it like D7 to D flat 7 to C. There's a lot of alternate, different things people do. There's like some diminished things people play sometimes. But tell me in the video what chords you're thinking of. In other words, for that section, right, that turnaround that comes after the C minor, and what you would play if you were playing chords, and tell me why. Explain. I want to get inside your head a little bit and think like, what chords might you use there, and also if you were going to play a lick or it's a solo right there over that chord sequence, the D7, D flat 7 to C, something different than the melody, what you would play. If you have some ideas, or if you are confused or have questions, that's fine too. I'm happy to just show you stuff, but I always like to get a sense of where you're at first. So let's start with those. Just make sure you kind of clearly and carefully explain to me what you're doing. Like for instance, see like, okay, I would play this chord, D7, and then I'd play this, whatever it is, like this is what I would play for the D7, this is what I would play next, and here's how I would play it in rhythm. Like really give me an explanation of what you're thinking. Yep. All right, man. Great job so far. If you have any other questions, if you think that we're not going quick enough or need to go slower or whatever, any thoughts you have to make these lessons as useful for you as possible, I would love to hear it. And if everything's good, that's great too. All right, man. Have a good day.